The compassionate ones gave us religions to teach us how to enter the path out of suffering. But none of them taught the entire path to the public until now. In the internal worlds, the process of perfecting the human being is symbolized by 3 mountains. Each mountain represents a stage of work that can take many years or even lifetimes to complete. Very few people enter the 3 mountains. Even fewer reach the top.
Enter ye in at the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. Because strait is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it.
We fell into suffering because of lust. As a result, we created all of the defects that cause our suffering. We enter the path out of suffering by working to conquer lust. We become liberated from suffering by eliminating all of the defects that we created. The 3 mountains represent the whole path to liberation. On the first mountain, we prepare for the work. On the second mountain, we perform the work. On the third mountain, we integrate with divinity. The first mountain is the mountain of initiation. To initiate is to begin. The first mountain is a series of steps called initiations of major mysteries. Each initiation happens in the internal worlds and is a long process that can take years to complete. Each initiation is accomplished through the heart by ethical purity. Each initiation has 33 stages that correspond to our spinal column. We must raise the sacred fire of Pentecost, Kundalini, Shekinah, up the spine, not just once, but 7 times. This sacred fire is the presence of divinity within the one who earns it. It is the fiery intelligence of divinity, and it cannot emerge unless it is deserved.
The Kundalini is not a blind force. The Kundalini is not a mechanical force. The Kundalini is controlled by the fires of the heart and can only be developed based on sexual transmutation and sanctity.
In these initiations, we prove ourselves worthy of spiritual powers and acquire them: clairvoyance, astral projection, remembrance of past lives, and more.
The fire gives those who follow the path of the razor's edge the power to lead the physical body at will. Kundalini has the power of awakening the consciousness of the human being. With the fire, we are completely awakened in the superior worlds. All those who have awakened in the superior worlds live absolutely conscious outside of the physical body during the hours of sleep. Whosoever awakens the consciousness can never again dream. They become, in fact, and rightfully, absolutely conscious citizens of the superior world.
We also create the solar bodies, what Jesus called being born again.
There are heavenly bodies and terrestrial bodies.
The solar bodies give us consciousness in the heavens and the first degrees of immortality.
One knows that one has an astral body when one can use it, as one knows that one has feet because one can walk with them, or hands because one can use them. Likewise, one knows that one has an astral body when one can travel with it.
And even with all of this, these are still only the first steps on the first mountain, the beginning of the path. At the end of the fifth initiation of major mysteries, to advance further, one must choose between the straight or spiral path. The spiral path is long and easy and gradually rises up through the heavens. Those on the spiral path become saints, angels, Buddhas. They enter the heavenly worlds and rarely return to the physical world. They forget humanity. On the other hand, the straight path is quick, direct, and reaches heights that the spiral cannot. But the direct path is very intense, since one must pay all of one's karma very quickly. This is the path of the Bodhisattva, the one who sacrifices everything because of love for suffering humanity. Very few take this path. Those who choose the straight path will then incarnate the Christ, to represent Christ on earth. Christ is wisdom, compassion, and incarnates incessantly because of love for suffering humanity. Their next step is the Venustic initiations. These initiations polish the solar bodies and prepare them for the real work to come. These internal bodies are the shining weapons and armor that Venus, the Divine Mother Kundalini, gives to the heroes, who must now descend into darkness to confront the terrible monsters there. The second mountain, the mountain of resurrection, demands the elimination of all inner defects and karmic debts, while serving humanity humbly and receiving bitterness in return. One painful step at a time, the Bodhisattva descends into her own subconsciousness to clean it of all impurities. And with each step cleaned, she gains one step higher in the superior worlds. As the Bodhisattva descends deeper into her own mind to eliminate every last defect, she liberates more and more consciousness, awakening her more and more in the heavenly worlds. Finally, when all of her defects are eliminated, she, totally pure, absolutely clean of all defects and sins, must eliminate the final impurity, the physical body. Suffering began with lust. Our physical body was made by lust. For us to become perfect, that body must die, so we can resurrect in a new body, perfect and pure. This is how we rise totally out of suffering, liberated and perfected. To reach perfection, there are 3 purifications that must be passed through. The first purification is in the initiations of the first mountain. The second purification is the work in the 9 spheres of the second mountain. The third purification is on the top of the second mountain, when one has already eliminated all defects and is tested for 8 years. In the final year, the initiate pays the final karma through physical death. Resurrection is to rise after death. Before one can resurrect, the physical body dies. This is why all masters die physically, to pay their karma and to resurrect. Without death, there can be no resurrection. Through death, they conquer death and complete the second mountain. Now they are a resurrected master, immortal, with spectacular wisdom, intelligence, and spiritual powers. Yet, they are not done. The newly resurrected master enters the third mountain, the mountain of ascension, which relates to the Trinity, a world of total purity. Those who work in the third mountain are not seen by the world. After the death and resurrection of Jesus, he ascended, and humanity lost sight of him. So it is with all masters who enter the third mountain. The third mountain is the mountain of the Logos, a work for gods, invisible to the eyes of men. The first mountain is the work of the third Logos, the creative principle, which creates the soul and prepares it to receive the Christ. The second mountain is the work of the second Logos, the sacrificer and redeemer, in which the inner Christ saves us from sin and death by destroying all of our defects and karma, and we die and resurrect to be perfect for the ascension. The third mountain is the mountain of ascension, the work of the first Logos, who prepares us to enter reality, the Absolute.